Pittsburgh is getting prepared to play center stage as it welcomes some of the world's most influential leaders to the G20 Economic Summit, September 24th and 25th. But as the city and county leadership struggle with economic costs, training for security and transportation nightmares, this area faces a challenge, keeping both the visitors and those of us who live here relatively happy. And how the city presents itself to the rest of the world could have an impact for years to come. Dr. Audrey Gusky, Associate Professor of Marketing at Duquesne University's Donahue Graduate School of Business, joins us now on the Sunday Business Page with some thoughts on hosting the G20. Audrey, welcome back to you.
Good morning, John. Thank you so much.
Bottom line, is this a good thing or a bad thing, or don't we know?
At this point, we really don't know. I would say overall, my predictions are that it's going to be a very good thing for the city. It's our opportunity to tell our story, to highlight who we are. We've been chosen because we're a progressive city, we have a distinguished history, and we have a promising future. And so I think if we keep it on that level and use those themes as our PR tagline and suggest, look what Pittsburgh has done. We've had some economic issues. We've come through it. We're rebounding. We're one of the best cities as far as economic stability. We've got a great sustainable and environmental city. We're doing our best to keep the environment healthy. I think overall it's a very positive thing for
that's
us.
the Chamber of Commerce spin.
Yes,
and
it
that's
is.
what we're hearing out of the Allegheny Conference and all those big boys and girls who are working on this.
Right.
But the fact is that anything violent is going to trump that when it comes to media coverage of Pittsburgh. And there's a lot of concerns that this city is not prepared for not just the peaceful demonstrations, but the anarchists.
Well, the problem is there's so many uncontrollables and so many things we're just not sure of, the uncertainty. And so, you know, we have to be as prepared as we possibly can. People said consider this like a national disaster.
Right.
So that way, you know, you've got all of literally your ducks in place, and you've got, you know, the security as tight as you can possibly do, and you've planned and worked around things and talked to other cities who have, as Seattle has experienced, and maybe learned from them. Overall, I think at this point we don't know. Hopefully, barring any really major disasters, it should be a positive thing. Now, of course, if there is something that really is unprecedented and something tragic that happens, that could
somebody
put a
got
black
killed
eye.
in London. And you can imagine that when the G20 was held in April, and that, by the way, was an innocent bystander who got caught up in what the Parliament later called police violence, an overreaction by the police. So, I mean, all kinds of things can happen. Let's talk about the local businesses here. Is this good or bad for local companies?
Well, it depends. They're predicting that $8 to $10 million is going to be brought into this area, which is a positive thing.
We've got hotels?
Hotels, restaurants, tourist areas. You got about 4,000 people coming into the city that typically wouldn't be here. But keep in mind what's happening to a lot of businesses. They are closing for the 2 to 3 to maybe the full week. And so as a result, what's that going to mean to businesses? Overall, it's probably going to come out in the wash, I would say. We're going to earn quite a bit of money, huge chunk of change, but we're also going to be losing some. But I think, John, you really have to look at the perspective, what's happening. It's highlighting the city nationally, internationally. We're going to be looked upon. The whole world's eyes are going to be watching us. So I think that type of visibility and that type of PR is something that's priceless. So in a sense, we have to just live with the inconvenience for a while, hope and pray that nothing really bad happens, and we get through it, and we get through it in a very positive light.
Well, that's probably the right attitude. Certainly the inconvenience will be there.
Yes.
We don't know for sure, but we're hearing talk that bridges will be shut down and the Port Authority won't operate in the center, downtown Pittsburgh, the T won't run. And so people won't be able to get to work in any case, even if they wanted to. And maybe it's best advice just to say, stay home that day.
Yeah, now you almost have to look at it as if it's a snow blizzard, you know, when the city tends to close down for a day or two. And eventually we recover from all of those economic hardships that we have. My advice to all of us Pittsburghers is once the G20 is done and everyone's moved out of here, I would say then support the businesses that were closed. Maybe have dinner downtown, come in, and go to some venues and spend some extra time and money in the city in a sense to help them recoup some of the money that they have lost. Hopefully all the businesses, especially the small businesses we're most concerned about, because they don't a lot of times have that economic stronghold that they can, get through something like this.
And in the end, we have no control over the public relations that come out of this, do we?
We don't, but I think if you look at it from a positive venue and the fact that Pittsburgh is hosting this, we are good hosts. We've proven that before. All-Star games, the U.S. Open, Stanley Cup playoffs. And so I think we like to highlight our city, and we are good hosts, and we'll show a good time to most of the people. And hopefully, you know, and we pray that everything works out in the long run. And that way the whole world will see us as who we truly are, a wonderful, beautiful town with great people.
Dr. Audrey Guskey, thank you so much for coming in and sharing your views.
Thank
I know
you,
we'll
John.
have you back throughout this summit.
Definitely.
KDKA is committed to bringing you continuing coverage of the upcoming G27 summit as Pittsburgh welcomes the world, from planning to security, and how the summit will affect day-to-day life and business in downtown Pittsburgh. Stick with KDKA as the G20 comes to town September 24th and 25th.